Hello and welcome to another midnight showing. As always, I'm Kelly, and I just got out of Mortdecai. Non-spoiler version, probably not worth seeing in theaters. Sorry to say, I was kind of hoping, but don't get me wrong, it's not worth ignoring. If it goes to the cheap theater, maybe, or if you catch a matinee, but I'd probably put this on the back burner and wait till it gets to Redbox or something, because it was okay. It wasn't amazing, it wasn't out laugh out loud hilarious, but it wasn't all that funny either. It was a great callback to the Monty Python type style of comedy. A really good callback. It didn't stop them from doing a lot more raunchy jokes or anything like that, but it was all about fast talking, funny accents, and having one guy play rational until he does something stupid that's supposed to be funny. Which is the joke of Monty Python. Watch all their skits. It's the one that occurs the most. But again, probably not worth seeing in theaters. Definitely maybe worth seeing instead of a cheap theater. Wait till Redbox. It just wasn't good enough. For the spoiler version, as I said, this is a good callback to, this is the second, now that I think about it, it's the second movie I've seen in recent time that actually do a callback to an older type of comedy style. Horrible Bosses 2 was very Three Stooges, and now Mortdecai was very Monty Python, fast talking, and with very, very, very good British stereotypes. I do say so myself, don't you, Mr. Johnny Depp? Yes, this is the voice he decides to go with. No, sorry, one second. This is the voice that he goes with most of the time. And he does this, but he does it really, really high-pitched. And he's just very gentleman-like with his wonderful mustache. And that mustache takes up about 30% of the jokes in the movie. Which is part of the movie's problem. Basically, the story is that a art restorer is working on a Goya, restoring a long-lost Goya painting, when she's killed. Right over the painting, which would obviously make her bleed all over it, but never mind. We'll leave the plot holes for something that's a little bit more serious than this film. And Johnny Depp is not the world's greatest detective like everyone else thought, myself included. I thought this was really going to be a poor man's Pink Panther. It's not. It's not. It is. He is a black market art dealer. He deals in art all the time with very shady people, and he's cheated more than a few, which has put him in a very big hole of debt with both the government and people who want to cut his fingers off. That finger thing comes back later, and it's absolutely hilarious when it does. But yeah, he gets called in by MI5 because it turns out a terrorist is the one that killed this restorer lady. And nobody knows why. So they ask him to find the painting. If they can find the painting, they find the terrorist and stop him. So there's a bit of a terrorist element to it. And, well, that's about as cliche. That is probably the best I could give it to you. It's basically him trying to find the painting, but people think he has the painting, so they start coming after to kill him, but he doesn't know what they're talking about, so he's got to find the painting. He goes to all his clients, he goes to all his contacts, he gets kidnapped by some Russians who want him to open his balls. You figure out what that means. They couldn't even figure it out inside the movie. And it was... To describe the comedy in this is... Take, for instance, the Captain America logo. Pretend there's a giant bullseye on me. For every joke that hits the star, there's about 5 that hit the sides, and about 6 that hit here, and about 300 or so that hit the stuff behind me because they can't figure it out. Some were bullseyes. And when it was a bullseye, it was hilarious. And usually those jokes were a little bit raunchier, but not always. As I said, this is a big callback to the Monty Python. Quick, fast talking. One guy plays rational, everyone else is crazy, and then the rational guy at the very end of the skit will say something, ha 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 ha, and he turns out he's crazy too, and it's all funny. It's a lot of those jokes. You'd think that a lot of the comedy came from Johnny Depp, but it didn't. It came from his sidekick, manservant. I don't even know what to call him, really. But, yeah, most of the comedy comes from him, his reactions with Johnny Depp. He's on the back end of almost all of the slapstick in this movie. And it's quite hilarious. And it builds to a very, very decent payoff where their roles get switched off at the end of the very movie. And that's probably one of the best moments of the movie, honestly. The story structure, it climaxes and then it decides to keep going and climax again. So there's like two built points. This movie could have easily been an hour and 40 minutes, but then they came up with this other plan and added another 20-30 minutes on top of it and ended up being almost 2 hours and 20 minutes. It's the story structure doesn't always fit, but that's not what you're seeing this for. You're seeing it for the jokes and the performance by Johnny Depp and his lovely, stereotypically hot wife, who's a much smarter than he is, Gwyneth Paltrow. Or is she? That's another one of the problems with the movie, is that Mortdecai doesn't have a complete character. They don't know if they want to make him dumb, like Inspector Clouseau, or make him ingeniously smart, like Inspector Clouseau. And I'm, of course, referring to the Steve Martin version versus the original. But they didn't know how smart to make him. You can tell that he's smart when it comes to art, but that's about it. He is a very bigoted gentleman who I'm sorry, he is not sexy at all in the film. But when he and Gwyneth Paltrow are having like this weird these sex conversations, it's so awkward. It's kind of hilarious, but not quite. I don't know. As I said, some of the comedy hits the bullseye. Other parts go off the edge. And some of the funnier moments inside of it are really funny and really good. They don't sit there and milk the jokes. They tell the good joke and they move on to the next one. It's like watching a comedy routine while this whole meta plot is going on in the background. And Johnny Depp's performance in it is really cartoonishly over the top. But he's not the only one. Everybody is cartoonishly over the top in this movie, except for, what's his name? Obi-Wan Kenobi. I can't think of his name. I'll put it in there. I will. But except for his character, he occasionally gets put inside the crazy side, but that's usually when he's trying to sleep with Gwyneth Paltrow. And it's quite understandable why he would inside this film. Just saying. But, yeah, it's a comedy. It's subjective. Is it going to be the best thing in the world? No. Nobody's going to think this is the funniest comedy ever. Are you going to find it funnier than I did? Probably. Maybe. Are you going to find it dumber than I did? I most certainly think that a lot of people will find this movie to be completely dumb. If I have one way to describe this film in a nutshell, it is an old person's comedy. As I said, it's a callback to old styles of comedy, and they are going to find this a lot funnier than a younger person. I had a few people actually walk out of my theater. Oh, and that brings up the audience. If you notice I'm doing this alone, DJ is sick. Get better soon. I will probably be seeing this again with him. We have a tentative thing for next week on a magical day that I actually have off that's not Thursday. But, yeah, he dodged a bullet on this one. The audience sucked. would not shut up at all. And this might be affecting why I didn't like the movie as much as I probably should. I mean, I'm not going to... It's not bad. It's actually very well made, and it has a distinct style and characteristic of all its humor. It's very cartoonish. Johnny Depp is not the only one, as I said, who is over the top doing very, very bad English stereotypes with a big old gap in his teeth. Everybody is over the top. They are milking the rules. When the Russians get introduced, they are milking the rules. When the Triad people come in, they are milking the rules. It is just, everybody is doing as over the top as possible. As I said, very Monty Python style. It's very cartoonish. But this day and age, people don't want that. They want dumbass racial humor, which is probably why Wedding Ringer is going to be... A lot of people are going to say that's a better movie. It's not. It sucked. But I didn't do a midnight review on that. I went and saw it with my family. I didn't want to even bother with that. It was horrible. But this is trying to be clever. Sometimes it comes off as stupid, but it's trying to be clever. Unlike something like that, which is just stupid and insensitive and wrong. That's the difference. A lot of people are going to find something like that funnier than this. This movie was cliched, over the top, but enjoyably fun to watch. It just wasn't a masterpiece. You could have easily cut 30 minutes off the film. Like I said, there's a second climax that didn't need to be there. You could have fixed everything la-di-da within 5 minutes of it. I know, it kind of sounds like I'm making this film out to be a lot worse than it is. It's not that bad. It's just not worth seeing in theaters. In theaters, it's just... And that brings up the audience. I'm trying to avoid talking about them, but the audience is horrible. They would not shut up. I picked the most remote seat possible. I got there a half hour early and picked the most remote seat that nobody else would ever choose to sit by. But then this fucking family of 5 come up and sit on my left, commandeer one of my armrests, and force me to sit over like this because one guy's girth was so freaking huge. And he kept doing crap like that, which all the seats in the theater, the audience was horrible. And they gave me glares for laughing at some of the more clever jokes inside of it. As I said, this is a mixture of clever and stupid. It's trying to be the cleverly stupid. You know, like the early Will Ferrell performances type thing. Where it's a lot of fast talking and they say something that is really funny. It's just, but it's one little sentence in a giant 10-line paragraph that they're saying so fast that if you're not paying attention, you will miss. And when I caught those and laughed at them, I got glares from the people beside me, and the freaking Asian old lady and her husband wouldn't shut up. The audience in this was horrible, and it's probably giving me a little bit more of a negative opinion of the film. So if you can go there where there's a better audience, you'll probably have a lot more enjoyment out of this. But they kept laughing at this stupid stuff. I mean, this is almost as bad as the people in Dumb and Dumber 2 that were... Oh, that's so funny! Yeah, that's so funny! But these guys just were obnoxious. And the younger kids who were sitting down in the front walked out, as I said. The audience just wasn't... It made the experience a little less enjoyable. I wasn't comfortable in this chair the whole time. I wasn't able to appreciate everything that was happening on screen because annoying people. But then they got mad at me when I actually appreciated something on the screen that they didn't. Quit glaring at me, people. I'm enjoying the movie, though. It's a funny line. But, yeah, I'm kind of rambling a bit, and I'm trying to force through this. I don't want to... I'm trying to change it up a bit, you know. I know I usually do it the good and the bad, but I'm trying to do a little bit more, just giving you a general idea of the film. with the spoilers and whatnot. I mean, as I said, there's plenty of funny moments inside there. There's a really funny scene near the end with Gwyneth Paltrow, Johnny Depp, naked inside of a big brass olden style tub together, talking about his mustache. Very, very funny. There's another really good part. The servant guy, whatever his name is, Goit. He's kind of weird. It was trying to sound like groin or crotch or something like that, but cock. I don't know. It was just a dumb name. It was supposed to be a one-off joke type thing, but there's a really funny bit where he is apparently a sex machine. Everyone finds him sexy. Every girl is trying to do with him. After doing a couple of their jobs in the beginning intro, he ends up sleeping with the daughter of the person he just did, which ends in them being shot at with a 12 gauge as they're driving away in a Rolls Royce. It's pretty funny, but they just like cut back to it. They're trying to have this serious moment, and then all of a sudden you see this girl walk out from where he was and go sit back down. And there's a really, really bad part where they're on a plane doing this, and Johnny Depp's like, oh man. And he sees the woman come out of the bathroom and then go sit back down with her husband and the baby. Good heavens, man! Oh! Stay focused! There's really, really good, funny moments like that really fit and are very, not subtly, but well integrated with the rest of the film. So, the comedy is just not something that you're regularly used to, but it works. Most of the time. There's some really, really dumb moments, especially with Ewan McGregor. Yeah, got his name. Ewan McGregor. The MFI guy, he's constantly trying to sleep with Gwyneth Paltrow because he's in love with her, but she ended up choosing Johnny Depp when they were in college after a really, really funny flashback. But he's always trying to get with her and sleep with her, and she's leading him on to get more information about the case. It was dumb at points. It was just really dumb and desperate. And it could have been just handled a lot better. It just wasn't. As I said, they were trying to be clever, but they ended up being stupid. But other parts where they're being clever, being stupid ended up being cleverly integrated, so it worked very, very well. I kind of talked around in circles, but I should probably final verdict this. Final verdict, probably not worth seeing in theaters, but give it a chance if you get into the cheap seats or maybe a Redbox or Netflix. It's definitely worth it there. Just know that it can get pretty raunchy. Well, that's it for me, so see you all next time.